What would Andrew Berry's message to the fans be?
My message to the fans is we know how difficult this year has been, and we appreciate the loyalty, the passion, the commitment to the team, regardless of what we're going through, and that's something we will never take for granted. My commitment to you all is to make sure that we find the right leader and build the right roster that allows us to have perennial success.
The Cleveland Browns didn't ease into this decision. They slammed the door shut. When Kevin Stefanski was fired immediately, it sent shockwaves through the league, not because change happened, but because of how fast and cold it was executed. According to sources claim, Browns GM Andrew Berry had reached a breaking point long before the public realized it. This wasn't about one loss, one play call, or one bad press conference. This was about years of tension between vision and execution. Behind closed doors, frustration had been building as the team cycled through quarterbacks, philosophies shifted week to week, and accountability felt blurred.
Yeah, Daryl, I think it goes back to what I touched a little bit in the opener. Again, we're realistic. I think how you evaluate progress when you're a team that's in transition versus how you evaluate progress for a team that's squarely in their contending window, it's different. Like, I think that's totally fair. How we would think about a season in 2020 or 2021 versus this year, it's different. That's absolutely true. Some of that is outcome driven, but not all of it. And you try and weigh that as best as you can and make the decision that you feel is best for the organization.
Stefanski was supposed to be the steady hand, the system guy, the culture builder. Instead, the product on the field became inconsistent, predictable, and disconnected from the roster's strengths. As sources claim, Berry had been quietly tracking trends that worried him deeply. Offensive identity kept changing, player development stalled, young talent wasn't maximized, veterans looked confused, and most damaging of all, leadership messaging didn't match what players were experiencing day to day. That's when confidence erodes. The Browns weren't losing because of talent, they were losing because the operation lacked clarity. Berry is known as calculated, patient, almost too analytical. So when someone like that pulls the plug instantly, it means the internal red flags were flashing bright red. The timing mattered too.
You know, Joe, we'll be pretty open-minded. I think there are a number of different archetypes of successful head coaches. I think about Kevin, I think it's easy to forget now that he has, 2 Coach of the Year awards on his mantle, that when he was interviewed first in 2019 and he didn't get the job, and then again, I guess it was 2020 and he did, in both of those cycles, he had no head coaching experience, and we were the only team that interviewed him. And so I think our responsibility is to search far and wide. There are good coaches out there. We've just got to do our homework and find the right fit for us. We'll have no preconceived notions as we go into the search.
Sources claim the decision came after a final internal review where film, player feedback, and performance data all pointed in the same direction. The offense wasn't adapting, in-game adjustments lagged, opponents knew what was coming. And when the locker room stops believing adjustments are coming, effort dips fast. Berry didn't want another let's see how it plays out year. He wanted control back immediately. No drawn-out press cycle, no slow transition, just a clean cut. This wasn't personal, it was surgical. Stefanski wasn't fired because he failed once. He was fired because the same mistakes kept repeating under pressure. In the NFL, repetition without correction is a death sentence. Berry saw the window closing and refused to let loyalty kill momentum. That's the part that shocked people. Cleveland chose decisiveness over comfort. And once that choice was made, there was no delay. This wasn't reaction, it was execution.
Personally, largely because of the relationship, both professional and personal, built with Kevin over the past 6 years. I think many of you have heard me say that Kevin's like family. There really isn't a better person. He's the best of us. We all owe him a debt of gratitude and appreciation for a level of success that he brought the organization that really hadn't been achieved since 2002. And that's something that we'll always remember. Yeah, Jeff, offensive football, and particularly the passing game, it really does take all 11. I know that's something that our coaches have said a lot over the past couple years, because the offensive game is about precision. It's never just on the quarterback. It's never just on one position group. Protection plays into it, route precision, route design. Obviously, we wish we had more success, while Joe was under center here. We didn't. It's unfortunate.
When Andrew Barry finally spoke, the tone was different, blunt, controlled, and unapologetic. According to sources claim, Barry made it clear this move wasn't emotional. It was about standards. He stressed that expectations were communicated, timelines were clear, and outcomes didn't meet the bar. No fluff, no dancing around it. In league circles, that kind of honesty is rare. Usually firings come with soft language and vague praise. This one didn't. Barry focused on results, process, and accountability. That sent a message across the entire building. Barry highlighted one major issue: decision-making under pressure. Games tightened, and the staff froze.
Terry, it's a good question. I'd say, specifically to, let's say, the offense, it's no secret that that's where we're going to invest most of our resources this offseason. I think the reality of it is, a year ago, when we decided to make the pivot that we did, you also realize that you're not going to be able to accomplish everything at once for the roster. The offensive line, that's a position group that I do imagine will have a fair amount of turnover as we go into 2026. But we also do feel like it was important this year, and quite honestly going into next year, to give young players snaps if we're ultimately going to build a core and foundation that we need to win perennially.
Play calling grew conservative when aggression was needed. Adjustments came too late or not at all. According to sources claim, analytics staff had repeatedly flagged tendencies that opponents were exploiting. Those flags didn't lead to change. That's when trust breaks. When data, film, and outcomes all align negatively, excuses disappear. Another major factor was quarterback handling. The Browns cycled through systems and voices without a clear developmental roadmap. Young quarterbacks weren't put in positions to succeed consistently. Veterans weren't supported schematically. Barry reportedly believed the roster was better than the results, and that's the most dangerous gap in football.
Where would you stand at?
So I think the first thing I'd say, Mary Kay, is, Miles and I have good and frequent dialogue. I think when people hear the term rebuild, and probably specifically here, really their thought is tear down, right? The idea that you're trading away a number of prime players or veterans, and you're accumulating resources and things of that nature. When we think about where we are in our transition, it really is about building up the offense. Many of the trades that we've made are really about maybe players who won't be a part of the future core, and getting future value for when we're in our prime window with this roster. If we do trade a productive veteran in his prime, it's probably more in lines of what we did with Greg Newsome, where we were able to acquire Tyson Campbell, a player that we thought was an excellent scheme fit. He's in his prime and under contract for 3 years. It would be more of a strategic decision like that. So our focus is on continuing to build. Winning is always the focus, but we also want to make sure that we take the proper steps to ensure that, hey, we don't have these up and down seasons, but that we can sustain it.
If talent is there and wins aren't, leadership becomes the variable. Barry also emphasized culture, not slogans, habits, practice urgency, communication clarity, preparation details. According to sources claim, players respected Stefanski, but respect doesn't always equal belief. When belief fades, teams drift. Barry refused to let drift become identity. That's why the firing was immediate. No interim buffer, no end-of-season evaluation. The message was simple: standards are non-negotiable. This wasn't about scapegoating. It was about aligning the building around one voice in one direction. Barry wanted urgency injected instantly. He wanted players to know the front office sees everything. And most importantly, he wanted to reset the power structure. Coaches coach, players play, leadership adapts. When one layer stops evolving, everything above and below it suffers. Barry cut the cord to save the system.
Yeah, we understand where you are, and I mentioned, we all get evaluated on an annual basis. I think the reality of it is, like, in any head coach opening, every organization has their own challenges, their own constraints. There may be at different points with their roster's lifestyle. We'll be looking for something different than maybe some of the other openings have, based on where they are as a team. And Some good coaches will fit us, but they won't fit the Titans. Some will fit the Giants, and they won't necessarily fit us. But we're looking for the right leader and the right partner for our present situation. And I have a lot of confidence that we'll be able to find that person. Go ahead, Chris.
I know Paul left during the season, but do you envision his role being filled at all? And are there any other potential front office changes?
Do not envision Paul's role being filled. I think we have a number of talented people who will absorb more responsibility. Paul's a huge loss, but we have a lot of people who have gained a lot of really good experience and smart people in that, in that regard.
Looking back, the signs were everywhere. According to sources claim, internal patience had already been exhausted by the previous season. Late game collapses, red zone confusion, clock management issues. These weren't isolated incidents, they were patterns. And in the NFL, patterns get punished. Stefanski's scheme once felt innovative. Over time, it became predictable. Defenses adjusted, Cleveland didn't. That gap widened weekly. The front office also grew frustrated with mixed messaging. Public optimism didn't match internal urgency. Players heard one thing in meetings and experienced another on Sundays. That disconnect kills buy-in. According to sources claim, veteran leaders privately voiced concerns about adaptability and accountability. When veterans speak up, it's serious. Those voices matter to a GM building long-term stability. Another key issue was control. Barry believed the team needed stronger centralized leadership. Too many voices, too many philosophies bleeding into one another. The organization wanted precision. What it got was compromise, and compromise doesn't win championships. Barry didn't want another year of almost. Cleveland isn't rebuilding, it's trying to contend. That requires ruthless evaluation. Financial pressure played a role too.
Honestly, Mary Kay, it's too early to tell. I think you can think about what, everyone felt like we knew about the quarterback landscape this time last year, about what we thought we knew about the draft. There's a lot of work to be done with this entire draft class. And again, you want to do that in partnership with your new head coach as well. So I wish I could give you a little bit more in that regard, but it's a long process to get through the assessment of this year's passers.
Follow up on that real quick.
I promise I'll get you next.
Contracts, cap decisions, and roster timelines all demand clarity. A head coach unsure of direction creates ripple effects everywhere. Barry couldn't justify future commitments without confidence in the coaching vision. So instead of letting uncertainty linger, he ended it. Clean, fast, definitive. This wasn't panic, it was overdue. When organizations hesitate too long, they waste seasons. Barry chose momentum, and while the move shocked fans, insiders weren't surprised. They'd seen the writing on the wall. The only surprise was how fast it happened once the decision was made. Around the league, reactions poured in, and they weren't critical. According to sources claim, many executives praised the decisiveness. In private conversations, several noted Cleveland finally acting like a serious franchise. No dragging things out, no half measures, just ownership. That matters in NFL circles. Inside the locker room, the response was sharp but focused. Players understood the message immediately. Accountability wasn't theoretical anymore. Performance mattered, preparation mattered, details mattered. According to sources' claim, practice intensity jumped almost instantly. When leadership changes decisively, it creates urgency without speeches.
We have a great appreciation for their loyalty, their dedication to the team. I think back to our last home game against Pittsburgh. They were such a huge factor in that game. And then for them to support late in the year, big rival, had everything to play for. It's quite the testament to show how much this team means to them and ultimately what we owe them because of that. So in terms of next steps, really our focus is on identifying and finding, the leader and the partner to bring along this young team as well as the young players that we're going to add in the next several months. So that work is going to be deliberate. It's going to be immediate. Right after we finish this press conference. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
The move also reset power dynamics. Players knew no one was protected by reputation. Coaches knew adaptability was mandatory. That kind of environment can be uncomfortable, but it's effective. Cleveland chose discomfort over stagnation. That's growth. Media narratives tried to soften the blow, but the reality stayed firm. This wasn't a mutual parting. It was a decision rooted in control and vision. Barry wanted alignment, and once alignment was gone, the relationship ended. No drama, no lingering, just forward motion. Now the Browns move forward with clarity. According to sources claim, Barry already has leadership profiles in mind that emphasize adaptability, communication, and real-time adjustment. The next era isn't about flashy schemes. It's about responsiveness. Cleveland wants a staff that evolves weekly, not yearly. This firing wasn't chaos, it was preparation. The organization believes the roster is ready. The city wants results. And the front office isn't waiting anymore. Cleveland sent a message to the league. Comfort is over. Standards are set. The immediate firing of Kevin Stefanski didn't just remove a head coach. It shifted the entire power structure inside the Browns organization. According to sources claim, Andrew Barry wanted to reset who truly controlled football decisions. For years, Cleveland operated in a gray area where coaching philosophy, analytics, and roster management overlapped without clear hierarchy. That blur created hesitation. When decisions take too long, the NFL punishes you fast. Barry's move snapped that cycle instantly. Inside the building, the message landed loud and clear. Authority now flows from the front office downward, not sideways. Coaches are expected to execute a vision, not reinterpret it. That doesn't mean micromanagement, it means alignment. Sources claim Barry was tired of plans changing midstream, especially offensively, where weekly game plans drifted from preseason intentions. Players were adjusting on the fly instead of building mastery. That chaos showed up on Sundays. This shift also empowers player leadership. Veterans now know expectations won't be softened by politics. Young players understand development won't stall due to indecision. Accountability has a straight line again. In winning organizations, clarity fuels confidence. Barry wanted that back immediately. Around the league, executives recognized the move as Cleveland stepping into maturity. No more endless patience cycles. No more excuses about process. The Browns are declaring they expect results from talent they already believe in. That confidence matters. This wasn't just about replacing a coach. It was about reclaiming organizational identity. Cleveland is done being reactive. This firing drew a hard line, and everyone inside the building knows exactly where it stands now. Andrew Barry's reputation was already strong, but this decision may define his legacy. According to sources claim, Barry understood that elite general managers are judged not by drafts alone, but by timing. Knowing when to wait is important. Knowing when not to wait is everything. This was a moment where delay would have signaled fear. Barry chose conviction instead. By acting decisively, Barry tied his name fully to the future direction of the Browns. There's no buffer now, no shared blame. This is ownership. League insiders respect that. Coaches come and go, front offices that stand firm shape eras. Barry is betting on structure, adaptability, and leadership alignment over reputation and comfort. This move also protects the roster's prime years. According to sources claim, Barry didn't want elite talent wasting another season learning systems that wouldn't last. Stability doesn't mean staying still. It means choosing the right direction early enough for players to grow into it. Financially, the timing mattered too. Coaching transitions affect contract decisions, extensions, and draft strategy. Barry cleared uncertainty before it infected long-term planning. That's forward-thinking management. This wasn't reckless. It was calculated courage. Barry didn't fire Stefanski to satisfy noise. He did it to quiet it permanently. And now, every move that follows carries weight. This is no longer theory, this is execution. Make no mistake, the entire NFL is watching what Cleveland does next. According to sources claim, this firing elevated the Browns into serious conversations among decision makers league-wide. Teams see a franchise willing to make hard calls without hiding behind timelines. That changes perception fast. Potential coaching candidates are paying attention. Players are paying attention. Agents are paying attention. The Browns are signaling ambition, not uncertainty. That matters in negotiations and locker rooms. Cleveland is no longer begging for stability. It's demanding excellence. This move also puts pressure on the next hire. There will be no grace period, no getting settled seasons. Whoever steps in inherits urgency, expectation, and a roster ready to win. That's not scary. That's attractive to the right leader. Fans may debate the move emotionally, but internally the path is set. According to sources claim, Barry wants a coach who adjusts in real time, communicates clearly, and embraces accountability publicly and privately. That profile narrows the field, but strengthens the result. Cleveland didn't just fire a coach. It announced a new phase. And whether this gamble leads to sustained success or painful scrutiny, one thing is already clear. The Browns chose direction over drift. In today's NFL, that alone separates serious organizations from the rest.